It's another day and we're happy to say we're single and we're healthy and we love it that way. Our melanin is popping in the morning glow, and we're about to tell you how the story goes.
Oh, hell nah.
Man, it's freezing out here.
Okay, I be with my bestie. We got the fresh tea, so tune in every Tuesday. Don't be messy. Elevate your mind, don't let none get you down. Cause this is Hot Thoughts. We covered the higher ground.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of High Thoughts. I don't know why I always do this.
Me either. I be wanting to touch my head. Like, I be wanting to do things. I don't know why.
Because we think it's like the thought bubble, like high thoughts, you know?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever, y'all. Anyway, this episode 10. Yeah, this is episode 10. In this episode, guys, we are going to kind of talk about a few things, touch on a few things. I know we're all sitting at home, or some of us are sitting at home, depends on where you are in the world. But we are reading so much that's happening in the media. As we know, the Super Bowl was a little while ago. But I wanted to touch on that because me and you didn't talk about it on here on the podcast. And I wanted to know how you felt about the Weeknd's performance.
Well, I thought the Weeknd performance was great, especially with him being from Scarborough, because that's where I'm from, right?
Okay.
No, but I thought he did a great job. I loved it. And then the fact that all his dances were black, like,
yeah, it was definitely
it
was definitely a lot of like black unity, black girl magic, black boy magic.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of that in the building or out at the stadium during the Super Bowl for sure. From Jasmine Sullivan to her to obviously the Weeknd,
to the Weeknd, to the dancers, to the football players.
Yeah, the Weeknd represents the Caribbeans as well, right? Is he Caribbean? What is the Weeknd's background?
The Weeknd, I believe, is African.
Oh, okay. Is he Ethiopian? He might be Ethiopian, actually. So he represented for the Ethiopians too. I know that's right. Okay.
If that's what he's representing for, we don't know.
He said if that's what he's representing for, that is very true. But I think he is. He looks it, so I don't know. But anyway, I like the performance as well. I think a lot of people were comparing it to so many performances in the past, like just last year of 2020? Maybe it was 2020, yeah. And Travis Scott performed. I don't even remember the performance, but I'm sure he does. But I'm just saying, like, I don't remember the performance at all from Travis Scott. So, people keep comparing it to old things. It's definitely not going to be a Beyonce performance. It's definitely not going to be what Shakira and J-Lo did about 2 years ago. So it's not going to be those type of performances. You know what I mean? Like, he's not that type of performer.
Right. So that's what I was going to get into. Is no one's performance is going to be anyone's performance because they're all individuals, right?
Exactly.
And from someone like Shakira or Beyonce, they're dancers. But from other people, as, other folks who aren't dancers but are great singers or, whatever, that's what they're going to bring. And right. I feel like he brought to the stage what he knows he's good at. He brought those hits. Can't deny that. And then on top of that, it's we have this COVID thing. So I feel like there are probably a lot of stipulations as far as like people being close to one another and things like that. Like I feel like he did a great job for what he was the cards he was dealt during this whole crisis we're going through. And it was entertaining. And for the folks out there who did not know the Weeknd, now know the Weeknd. So I think it was worth it. And then to find out he is the first Canadian to ever do the Super Bowl halftime. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's big, right? That's really big, especially if you're Canadian. Ooh. So yeah.
That's what's up. And I thought it was really interesting that they said he spent his own money to increase his budget. Of course, I think he spent like over $7 million. And I was reading like a breakdown on that he spent 7 million of his own dollars, but he had 12 minutes of airtime. And they were saying that a normal Super Bowl commercial for a 30-second slot costs 5.6 million to like get a 30-second commercial. So, and if you think about it, I mean, he really just invested back in himself, like one that was, you know what I mean? Who knows if it was actually his own money, like the label's money. I'm not sure what that was, but I think it was a good investment. You know, if he needed the extra lights or pyro or dancers, I mean, he literally had about 1,000 dancers out there, so he probably had
And
to pay for all them.
They were tight. They were so tight. Like I said, I thought it was great. And no matter what you do, people are going to talk about you, right? But they're talking. So that's all that matters at this point.
Speaking of people just talking, you know, since Tampa Bay took home the win, you know, I'm a Florida girl, so we always got to represent when Florida gets a win. But yeah, Tom Brady helped us out. Tampa Bay came home with the chip, and yeah, it was a great day. It was a great evening for Tampa for sure. I saw so many videos where the people in the streets were like tearing up the streets, like literally tearing up the streets, going crazy, doing the wildest stuff. I'm like, what is going on? Y'all got us looking like they already call us, you know, the stigma with Florida, right? They got the Florida man that like represents somebody crazy, which I had to learn that when I moved to LA. People were like, you know, the Florida man? And I was like, what does that mean? And they had to break it down to me. So whatever. But yeah, shouts out to Tampa Bay, the new National Football League champions, I guess is what you call it, the new Super Bowl champions, 2021. Yeah.
I do want to say this though.
Go ahead.
It's interesting when teams win and you're allowed to go on the streets and tear up shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're literally doing this because I guess you're excited and you're happy, and so you tear up the grocery store, and you tear up the street signs, and you do all this wild shit that is for a win. What I'm getting to is, you know, when we try to make a point or a stand on something, and it's an actual stand, and not to just ruin the mood, but I just had to say this, like, then it's a problem, right? Then we're rioters, but that's here nor there. I digress.
Oh, okay. You were trying to bring it into Black Lives Matter real quick.
Not even Black Lives Matter, just Black lives.
I know, I was joking. But no, I get it. But again, this is not a sports podcast, so we will not be staying on this much longer. We're going to move right along, okay? So recently, there was a documentary that came out about Britney Spears. And I wanted to get into that because growing up, again, we're in that age range where we grew up listening to Britney Spears. Like we grew up doing I'm a Slave for You dance. Like we grew up doing like Hit Me Baby One More Time. So, you know, I had all the albums, I know for sure. So, you know, what did you think about it? Because we both watched it. What did you think about the Britney Spears doc?
So at first my perception of the previews was like, these people are going all crazy about Britney Spears. And don't get me wrong, I was a Britney Spears fan. But then that's why it's not good to just look at that. Right. When I got into it, it's sad, right? It is. It's sad the way her father's doing her. It's a bizarre story because now he's like, he's what is it? The executive of state, and he's
the conservator.
Thank you. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, conservator. Thank you. So he's basically in charge of everything from her money to what she does. You know, contracts. Like he has to approve those things because he's over the entire estate, which is kind of crazy for someone who is alive.
Typically in those situations, you're either an elder, you're old, or you are, something has happened, maybe something traumatic where your mind isn't working and things of that nature. And that's kind of what they based her situation off of. They're saying that she's not mentally stable, that she's not well, and then to find out that they have her locked up now.
Well, my thing is she shaved her head back in like 2018 or something, 2017.
That was a little farther back than that.
Oh,
And
okay. Well, yeah, she did it such a long time ago. It's kind of like, is she still like, I don't know, based off her Instagram, like what I see posted, it definitely is. I don't know, something's definitely going on for sure. She's
something's
not the
definitely,
same Britney.
she's not the
Not at
same
all.
Britney. And there probably are a lot of issues she's battling, a lot of demons, whatever, however you want to put it.
Hmm.
But I do not think it's fair that her father's taking complete advantage of her. Um, and it appears, once again, we're not in it, right? It appears that he's money hungry. He is sucking her dry, right? And why wouldn't you want her to own, like, I just feel like maybe her mom needs to take control. Maybe, I know they were talking about the bank taking control. Her mom went to court, but the mother lost. Like, then you have the whole, what is his name? Kevin Federline.
Hmm.
You have that situation where he has her children. It's almost as if Britney has no control over her life anymore. So you went from this
Yeah.
larger than life persona, girl image, and now you can't even say what your kids are doing. You don't have a say in your kids, your money, anything. And it's
Right.
kind of sad. It was very sad to watch. And so then I kind of understood why her fans felt so compelled to you know, what is it called? What was it called? Like Free Britney or some shit like that. Like,
Hmm.
it's wild. It really is wild. And she has the dollar, right? She never has to work again. And her father sees that. And he's taking advantage, complete advantage of her.
So in the documentary, you got that her father was taking advantage of her. Um, yeah, I guess you could see it like that. Again, I don't know. I can't really tell. I mean, I'm sure he's not the first stage father to say, like, my child is going to retire me and buy me a new house. Like, I'm sure that's what Kris Jenner said the first time she bought a new house off her kids. Like, so I don't know if that, because I did hear that statement, but Brittany's been going through a lot for a long ass time, and I don't think it's just her father. I think it's a whole plethora of people because she still was being managed by Larry Rudolph, whenever she came back, right? When she came back from her psychotic break or whatever they wanted to call that,
Mm-hmm.
um, she was being managed by her longtime manager, Larry Rudolph, right? Like he managed a lot of different boy bands, things like that. So,
Boy band.
um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. If you saw in the documentary, that she goes through the part of when the paparazzi really started, chasing her. Like this girl couldn't go into a restaurant. What type of restaurant allows 10 cameramen to come in your face and take pictures while you're just trying to eat? Like she's literally got her head down. Like it was the craziest thing. Like, and then losing custody of your kids, that could make anyone go freaking crazy. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like from that documentary, it didn't tell me a lot. It really didn't. I already knew that Britney, it was sad what was going on with her. I remember looking at like Us Weekly back in the day and seeing her about to drop her baby on the ground because she tripped in her flip-flops. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Leaving a restaurant. I remember those times and feeling so bad, being like, oh my gosh, like these people want her to hurt herself for real. Like they really do. Like they have no thought for it. Like so no one's also taking accountability. Like I saw in the documentary, one of the paparazzi was like, she never told us to leave her alone forever. She just would say, leave me alone for the day. And I'm like, what? So you know what I mean? It's like there's a lot that goes through that. So I think yes, we've never heard Britney say out of her mouth, it's my father's fault I'm going through this. But she has said, I won't perform under this conservatorship before, right? Like, so she has,
Who would? I
yeah,
wouldn't.
right. But she has said those things. But again, we don't know all of the situation. We don't know the whole situation. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely something's going on. You know what I mean? We don't know everything, but something is definitely going on. Um,
It's one thing to say as a parent, listen, if we were wealthy, I know we would give our mothers the moon, the stars, and anything that we could obtain and pay for, we would do for our mothers, right? That's
mhm.
not the issue. The issue is that, in my opinion, is like everything this girl does, the dad gets a piece of the pie.
Hmm.
Hell no. I think it's bizarre, and I think it's bizarre that he waited till she was locked up in the psych ward to go to the courts and somehow obtain just ownership over everything. It's he's a sneaky motherfucker, but he did it, and he was able to prove that he could do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't do I if I was her, I would sit on my ass probably too, because I think it's just unfair. And I think on top of her, maybe her mental issues stem from all of this chaos around her.
100%. Yeah. And like I said, losing your kids, like that would definitely make any person, especially a woman, like you gave birth to these children and now someone's taking them away. The father, you know what I mean? The person who I gave money to, the person who I'm still taking care of, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sure she's still taking care of Kevin and his new wife. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like that definitely would drive me crazy. So I can only imagine like a superstar like Britney Spears, like what that does to her mental, what that has done to her mental. So again, a crazy documentary. You guys should watch it if you have the time.
It was
Definitely was
good.
interesting. Yeah, it was like a good hour and a half, like of my time that I can't get back. But anyway, moving on to another documentary, the Wendy Williams documentary. Okay, now if you don't know, Wendy is my girl. I love me. I watch Wendy Williams about every day, y'all. Like if it comes on every day, I'm watching it. So Wendy did a documentary and she also did a movie, right? It was a Wendy Williams movie, which, okay, here are my thoughts. Again, I'm a fan of Wendy, so whatever. My thoughts from the movie were I love the overall theme of kind of no matter what is going on in your personal life, when it comes to her professional life, she always handled business. Like she always came through. She didn't like missing a day. She didn't take a day off. There was no, you know what I mean? But also it runs you to the ground because she wasn't paying attention to her home life. She wasn't seeing what was going on. Like I will say, I wish she didn't talk so much about her ex, but I understand. I think she was trying to tell a story that of abuse and the type of abuse that she was dealing with and the type of like, I mean, he was gaslighting her. There was just so much that was going on in that documentary. But I think she always says that she's trying to protect her son. But based off of what we see, I don't think her son can be protected from what we've all seen. You know what I mean? Like from what we've all seen based off what his father has done. So I don't know. I just wasn't. I just didn't like that her husband was all up in it. Like I'm like, man, I wanted to see more of like really that rise in the radio. Like you know what I mean? Like she showed bits and pieces, which was cool. Like she showed that there was an R&B singer who only had like a one hit, and he raped her. Right? Like she showed another situation where Eric B from, you know what I mean? Like Eric B like was using her car and you know what I'm trying to say? Just like she was one of those girls who was easily used because she wanted to be loved and she wanted to be around the crew, and sometimes those things can happen. Like I think that movie was a cautionary tale to like any young girl. Like sometimes when you're a little too desperate, a little too hungry, like you know what I'm saying? Like, cause she definitely was that. She was all those things. She was desperate, hungry. She was ambitious. She was ambitious. I can't even talk. She was just all of those things. Like, and I still listen. I still like Wendy. I'm still a fan of her work. She's a pioneer. So I don't know. What did you think, T?
Well, I thought that the documentary in the movie, I thought it was good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thought she told her story well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting that a person like her would try to protect her son. And the reason I say that is because she exposes everyone and she doesn't care. She doesn't care about your mom, your kids, nothing.
But that's her son. So why would you be surprised
right.
that she would not protect her son?
Well, it's
She
just
even protected her husband.
that's what exactly. So it's like now that the light is on you, like you already know how it's gonna go. So and she played off of that. Obviously, her husband did her dirty, and now she wants to make a documentary. But in making of the documentary, let me bring a few more folks down with me, right? Let me say I fucked Method Man or whatever. Let me do all these things. But I thought it was good.
I mean, that's one thing about life. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen it time and time again. People are coming out telling their side of the story, right? We saw it with August Alsina and Jada Pinkett. Like, if you do not want someone to tell what you did, you probably shouldn't do it, right? Like, we've all done things in our past that we wish we could take back. But guess what? That is life. That's how you just move on, right? Like, if you didn't want to mess with Wendy Williams, you probably shouldn't have messed with Wendy Williams. She had a big mouth back then when he met her. When he was part of the Woo, she was who she was. Eventually, it was going to come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Wendy Williams fan. I think
I hear that.
is messy, and I think that she does forget. I get like I get all that. Like you have to, your job is to tell people's business. But at the end of the day, these people have families. Like real families, just like you know? And so you're that person sometimes that drives people to get drunk. You're that person that's causing somebody maybe an ass whooping that night. You are that person causing issues in these people's lives. And so.
But she said it herself though.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, so with that being said, it's like, you know, whatever. But I think that I thought it was a good movie, though. It did show me, like you said, it showed me that she's a hell of a go-getter. I love that. I was like, damn, this girl don't give up. I love that. And I see that she's a miserable person. And when I say that, meaning her mother and her father, they didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So they made her they didn't know any better, right? So they made her very self-conscious, and she wanted to fit in, and she wanted to be liked, and she found her niche. And she went with it. But of course, someone who doesn't feel validated by her parents, it's easy for her to talk about these people. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I learned about it. But I thought it is a good story. And I understood why her husband was in it a lot. I mean, he was her manager. I would never make my husband my manager, but that's just me. And at first it was funny because I feel like she didn't make him look as bad as I started hating. Like I started hating him through the movie. I'm like, oh my God, why would he do that to her? Like I was getting mad. But to me, I think he probably did some more real fuckboy shit. And she really just, I'm gonna sweep that up. I ain't gonna talk about that. I'm gonna throw that in the trash. Because she made him seem like he was very supportive at first, right? But
a lot of people have said that he was supportive, especially when it came to her kicking her drug habit. When she kicked coke, he was dating her while she was in her middle of coke, right? Like in the middle of her like going crazy on coke in the 90s or whatever. So she did say that he helped her in certain ways, right? Like when it came to, he did encourage her. He did say like, you the best, like type of thing. But also at the same time, being her manager, he messed up opportunities because he had a nasty attitude and he didn't know how to talk to people and he didn't call them back. You know what I mean? So he did hinder it as well. So she showed that, but she also, again, she didn't want to show everything because she wanted to protect her son. And I don't think that's an odd thing to do. I think if any woman's telling their story, they're not going to go on like Kim Kardashian. When she does her documentary, she's not going to go on there and show her children that she dated every rapper alive. You know what I'm saying? She's going to show that she was married twice because she's only a woman that gets in committed relationships. And she's going to show that she married their father. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you're not going to show everything, right? To protect that of your legacy for your child, whatever that is. But I do think that Wendy showed enough though. She didn't have to show the rape. She didn't have to show that Eric B used her. She didn't have to show certain things. You know what I'm trying to say? But she showed them, you know what I mean? Like, I think she said it herself, like, I got the karma that was coming to me, you know, like, I talked about people so much and now look at my life. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, you know, but that's what happens, right?
Right. And I am a firm believer. I don't, right. It's life, right? Because I was going to say, you do bad things and there is this thing called karma, right? But at the same time, I don't think anybody deserves to feel hurt or pain. That's just life, right? No matter what kind of life you lead, you're going to endure pain. You're going to feel pain. So nothing was going to stop that. But she does live this life of, hey, I'm going to say what the fuck I want to say and I don't care. And it's gotten her a long way. So, like you said, you tune in. I know a lot of other people who tune in to her.
Of course.
So,
well, Wendy didn't get 11 seasons of her show without people watching. So I definitely think there are millions of people watching her. But yeah, so moving on from Wendy, what other documentaries came out? Like there were definitely a few music, like media, music, hip hop type of things that came out.
Yeah, so the Salt and Pepper one,
It
was terrible. It was terrible.
I didn't watch it.
Okay. I am a huge Salt and Pepper fan. Like I like their music. I love what they stand for. And so I thought their story I thought they were going to dig deep. I mean, this is a lot of history, right? And I just feel like they just brushed over the surface. And I thought it was terrible how they eliminated Spinderella from it. It's almost as if they tried to erase her legacy. So I just wasn't with it. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
The way they did the timeline, it's like 1 minute we're here, the next minute they're on stage. Like, the 1 minute they're walking in the hood, the next minute, like, what's the in between? Like, they did a terrible job telling the story. I didn't like it personally. And then they made Spinderella look like she was literally a sidekick. She did not have any words. The girl who played her, they acted as if she didn't exist. It was so weird. So that was my take on that situation. So another documentary I was watching was the Whitney Houston documentary, which you can imagine was so sad.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them out there. This one really just talked to a lot of her friends. It dug into her addiction, and they really were trying to show like who Whitney Houston was that we seen, the R&B princess, or the pop princess, I should say, and this girl who sings so beautifully, and she's so beautiful, and she's so prim and proper. And then Nippy is the girl that's from Newark who likes to have a good time, hang out with her friends, be with her family. And
is Nippy Whitney?
Nippy is Whitney. That is her nickname.
Okay.
But that's how they were.
Yeah, like break it down more for the people who haven't heard it.
Right. So Nippy is her nickname from childhood, and they were just saying that is who Whitney Houston really was at the core. The fun spirit who loved to be with her friends, do music, things like that. Whitney Houston was this facade that the world made her. This princess, Whitney Houston,
Or that Clive Davis made her.
Right. And so she really fought. It was like tug of war with Whitney Houston, and they go into her drug abuse, and it really showed. It is funny because now everyone is like, Whitney was the riot of the relationship. Whitney was the one who always was getting high. Bobby got high sometimes, but it really was Whitney who was the toxic one in the relationship.
Who's saying this? Who are they interviewing?
These are her friends.
So-called friends. Obviously, you're dead, so I mean.
These are her right. These are her friends. These are people, and they're not doing it in a malicious way. They're being real. This man has had to take these beatings from the media as if he was the villain that's making her do all these things, and Whitney was doing what she wanted to do.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
So it goes into that. She had the means, and she had a lot of trauma, and she had things that happened to her as a child, and Bobby did too. So it was like two people who came together that had a lot of hurt and
Yeah.
they loved each other, and they say that they loved each other and they wanted it worked for as long as it could, but it was very
Yeah.
unfortunate that Bobby Brown had to take the beating so badly. And I think the media thought that was helping Whitney, but it didn't. And she loved him so much, so she hated that. She was like, why is everybody faulting him? If only you knew, I'm doing what the hell I like to do. You know?
Well, I feel like I don't know if they talked about this in the documentary, but is that why they did the reality show? So people could see the real Whitney and Bobby?
I think that's why they did it. And then the reality show, they talk about that too. The reality show made it worse because
They both looked like addicts during that reality show. Like they both looked
and
crazy.
she just looked I remember watching it and thinking to myself, what is happening here, right? Like this looks crazy.
Right.
Yeah, just crazy. And it made Bobby Christina, in some of the episodes they were showing how Bobby Christina kind of was just in the middle of this turmoil, in the middle of this
Right.
situation, you know, to parents who are addicts. So they dive into that. They dive into when Whitney passed away and how it affected Bobby Christina, and then in turn Bobby Christina dies.
Yeah.
And the guy, which I didn't know, there were two people in the house with her, I believe, and the boyfriend and another friend, the guy, and that guy died 3 years after Bobby Christina, and then the boyfriend dies 2 years after him.
The Nick guy died?
Yes.
I
didn't know that either. I found that out watching this documentary. So
okay, I'm gonna have to watch it. What does it come on? What's that, Netflix? Hulu?
I don't know. I don't think it's on it's either on Hulu or maybe on Amazon. But it's deep. And I thought this was one of the good ones. And yes, the Nick guy, he died. And so then Nick's brother, he had a chance to speak and he's crying. And he's like, I love my brother. And so you know how I am. Like, what's sad about it is that the guy Nick is painted as a villain. Did he kill Bobby Christina or whatever happened? I don't know. But what's sad about the situation is how this whole long line of abuse is hurting everyone around, right? The brother, his brother is going through the pain. And every time he looks at a tabloid, it's something negative about his brother. Mm-hmm. And because we're a society where it's like, oh, we don't care about how you feel. We only care about the celebs in this situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was pretty deep. It was sad, and it was good, and it shows you kind of like with the Britney thing, just how the music industry can really drown you,
ruin you. Like if they want it to happen, if like especially the media, if they want it to happen, it'll happen. They can make you the best unbothered person in the world who can't do any wrong, makes all the right fashion choices, to the most hideous and insane, you're going crazy, this person's emotionally melting down. Like they can literally flip the narrative just depending on everyone else's relationship with you too. Like that's how you got to kind of think about it, you know?
Yeah. But no, so the Whitney docu was really good. If you can, you should definitely catch it. Yeah, check it out. It was good.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah, definitely. But let's get into this whole little Bow Wow. I seen on the Shade Room that Bow Wow, after I guess he's doing an album now, and once he releases that, he wouldn't mind being signed to WWE as a wrestler.
Wow, at first I thought you were gonna tell me that Bow Wow is gonna do a documentary, and I was about to say, no, Bow Wow, you're too young for the documentary. Like we don't need that right now. But the fact that he wants to be a wrestler for the WWE, that actually doesn't surprise me. I could totally see him doing that. It doesn't, no, because listen, you gotta think about it. A lot of those WWE people end up being actors. Like that's what they do, right? Like there's many people have transitioned other than The Rock, right? Like he's just one of many. Let me tell you, there's reality shows, there's all types that these wrestlers transition to do, so they don't have to wrestle anymore. But I could totally see Bow Wow. I feel like Bow Wow has now kind of become, he knows he's like a little punchline. Like, you know, like I think he's kind of cool with that, because at the same time, Bow Wow has been with so many women in the industry, from Kim K to Sierra to whoever. So it's like in his mind, he's like, call me corny all you want, laugh at me all you want. Your wives used to love me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he cares. Like, I feel like that's how he's thinking. But I could totally see him doing wrestling. Like, he's corny. Like, no, you know, listen, I used to love me some little Bow Wow. So I don't want to fully call him corny, but yeah, like he doesn't, I don't think he cares about his image in that type of way. Like, what he does with growing up hip hop, and he lets people in on his world of women and stuff like that. So to me, I don't think that he cares about like any of that. You know what I mean? Like, he's been embarrassed before. Like, remember the whole fake jet thing? Like, you know, so I can totally see him doing WWE and him in some tight pants. Or I don't know if he's gonna wear them little underwear. You know, they be wearing the little, yeah, they wear like the little underwear. They used to. When I think about Hulk Hogan, when I think about Triple H, when I think about all these, that's what they wear, like tights and like the little undies with their legs out.
Yes, and the little tall like boxing boots. When I seen it, I was shocked, because typically you wrestle when you're young, and as you get older, you become an actor or dive into whatever other career. He's very little. His frame is very small. So I guess he's gonna go from taking verbal punches to taking actual physical punches.
Good one, T. That's a good one.
I don't know, but I do like Little Bow Wow. Like, listen, I'm definitely a fan. I think that he's a legend, right, in the game. I don't think he needs to wrestle, but hey, why not? I think it's something to do. I think these artists get bored, and they're like,
it's a check.
It's a check. Oh, like I said, would you wrestle?
Would I wrestle, child? No.
Yeah, would you wrestle?
Ain't nobody gonna ask me that, because I don't even want people wrestling me in general. Like, I did enough of that when I was growing up with my brothers. I'm good.
That's what I'm saying. Even if the check is fat, I'm not wrestling. I'm sorry.
Bow Wow. He's a boy, and it's fake. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different. He grew up wrestling. I could totally listen. I know he grew up watching it, because I grew up watching it. And
me too.
I used to go. I've gone to matches. Are you kidding?
Have you?
Yes, my mom used to take me and my older brother, all the time. We seen Stone
Cold Steve Austin.
Girl, I remember I was at a match, and you know when Stone Cold used to go to the ends of the ring, and they used to throw him the beers, and he used to like clang them together and then like pop them real quick and just drink them. Girl, that was like my favorite thing. Like, I don't know why. I liked him. I liked Rey Mysterio. I liked X-Pac. I liked the whole D-Generation X. I was into the whole like bad boy. You know what I'm saying? It was like.
I love wrestling. I loved wrestling when I was coming up. Like, I used to sit there and watch it. It used to be this guy. I can't think of his name right now. He used to wear a little puppet on his hand.
Mankind.
And he would come in there.
Or Mick Foley. He went by multiple names. He was Mankind. Mick Foley. He was a few things. Yeah. And then he was like the sock puppet. Like, I don't know.
He was the sock puppet. But what I liked about him, he would always do the cage fighting. And he had no problem being thrown into tables. Like, I used to love it.
Yeah.
Being bloody with the one tooth. Like, I loved it. And I loved The Undertaker. Because when he come out, he'd be like, he was so big and tall. And I love Chyna too.
Yes, yeah. I remember
good.
Chyna. She was so, oh my gosh. Man, she was like one of the guys, but she was like a girl.
She was a badass. So I mean, I loved wrestling, right? And it's funny that I don't think we look like girls who would like wrestling back in the day, but that was my shit.
I think everybody liked wrestling back then. It was like that one. It had been on for so many years. I remember my great aunt used to watch wrestling. I used to sit there when I was a kid and watch it with her. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? That's when like Andre the Giant, like she watched it when Andre the Giant was there. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it was Yeah, it was like a thing that we used to do. Like, I don't know. I was always like a grandma's girl. Like with all my grandmas, like I always would like sit in the room with them all the time, and just like watch whatever they watch. Maury was always one. No, Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer, my great aunt Big Nat. That was her show. Yeah, she loved her some Jerry Springer, girl. She watched every episode. But no, I could totally see this with Bow Wow. Like, good luck to him and whatever he does decide to do. Cause yeah, he's a guy who probably won't put out any more music because we probably won't listen to it like that. Like, I know I won't, just to be honest. Like, I love old Bow Wow and I could put on an old Bow Wow album, you know, but I'm not going to listen to new Bow Wow. So I think that he does have to do whatever he can. I think acting, he definitely needs to stick to acting because I do like him when he acts. I know he was in CSI at one point. Like, yeah, I like when he acts. So he needs to kind of focus more on that because he definitely is a performer. Like, it's just in him. You could see it. That's why I think wrestling is going to be good for him because he's a performer.
I agree. He was great on The Masked Singer. He's great on stage.
Yeah.
And he is a great actor. I think he's a good actor. He has the potential to grow. So you're right. And he has so much room to do whatever he wants to do, right?
Yeah, because he's still young. He's in his 30s. He's like mid-30s. Like, Bow Wow can do so much. Like, I think he's one of those men. There's men who focus on their business and there's men who focus on women. And a lot of the men who focus on women, that's their weakness and everyone knows. So people constantly are throwing new things at you. You know what I mean? There's always going to be new women. So if that's your weakness, you're going to have a tough time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is.
I agree, but we'll be watching you, Bow Wow, on WWE.
We're gonna stay on it. We're gonna stay on all these topics, guys. Thank you for tuning in today. This is another beautiful episode of High Thoughts with your girl, Leah.
And your girl, Tonysha.
Hey. Yes. So y'all stay tuned every Tuesday. Stay locked in. Keep updated. Subscribe to our Patreon. Subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at High Thoughts Podcast. We're on Twitter. We're going to be more active. We're going to do better at all these things.
Yes, at all these things, right? No, and make sure you subscribe on Apple and Spotify, Google Play, whatever you have. Make sure you are locked in every Tuesday.
Stay tuned, guys. We'll see y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.